Pride, the first African American man to head up that organization. Ahmaad.org, AMAAD.org, if you want to find out more online. But you also said folks can walk in.
Yes,
Where are
yeah.
you guys located?
So we are in the heart of Watts. We're at 103rd in Compton. Yeah, have a dynamic team doing great work. We certainly encourage folks to come see us, as you mentioned, check us out on our website. We have a host of not only programs and services, but events and activities as well. It's really important that now more than ever we are building and sustaining a sense of community. And so we have lots of things that really allow folks to come and be a part of just a safe and exciting community.
Well, you talk about building community, and I feel like I always thought that anti-LGBTQ plus hate was generational, and that as Black folks, as the younger generations came up, there was more and more acceptance, more and more, progressive kind of attitudes. And I did see that for most of my life.
Hmm.
I feel like we're seeing a little bit of a backlash right now online with this whole, you know, the battle of the sexes that's
Hmm.
going on online, the manosphere, I
Hmm.
guess you could call it, and this real emphasis, and a lot of this coming from Black men on the so-called feminization of Black
Hmm.
men and the gay agenda.
Hmm.
Talk to me about that as a Black man. How do you process that?
Sure. And so it's certainly sort of a broad spectrum in that way. So, as you mentioned, I've personally seen, and as we have seen too, there's been this progression in the sense of how folks are engaging and holding space for each other, specifically in the LGBTQ plus space. Even our staff is not does not all fully identify as LGBT. So we have a diverse set of individuals who are committed to the health and wellness of community. And I think that also can serve as a model in the sense of recognizing that, again, one does not have to represent or identify as a part of a community to be invested in the wellness of that community. And so there is certainly that. But then on the other side, there is the element of just, for one, just the heightened visibility and access people have to just say things often uninformed, ill-informed, or just downright hateful. So there is that. When it comes to the space of the agenda, I certainly don't assign to any agenda. If anything, folks are now much more compelled and empowered to show up as their full selves in a way that um, generations past might not have had. For many generations, a lot of how people navigated the world was really hinged upon their safety and sustainability. And so, with sort of the expanded visibility of community and certain rights and accesses, folks are much more compelled and empowered to show up. And so there is certainly that. And just like with any shift in the culture, there is many times resistance. Not to make a lateral comparison, but we've seen that when it came to women's rights in the workplace. There was major resistance when it came to, you know, seniors and interracial couples. There's always been sort of this kind of resistance when it's come to turning the ship. And again, by no means making a literal comparison, but knowing that there took a number of courageous people to
Right. I
stand.
mean, you're talking about the ebb and flow. Sometimes,
Yeah.
we make progress and then we see some regression and then we make progress. I had hoped, and I have seen it that with generations we would move away from the ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've seen some reemergence of that ignorance. Um, but and then I think about safety. Um, and I think the myth is that gay people are recruiting other people to
Mm-hmm.
be gay.
Right, which is
Is that
completely.
your experience?
So I have heard that folks again who are misinformed or
That I've
ill-informed or
heard.
just far removed from any LGBTQ plus people, and folks will fill in the gaps or kind of create these stories. But I dare say in many spaces there have been generalizations and stereotypes that have been ill-informed, misinformed, or not even rooted in any experience so much as you know, uh, spitting hatred. So, yeah, to that, there are a number of misinformation, pieces of information that have moved around, and I think we all have a responsibility, no matter who we identify as, to address and counter misinformation, specifically ones that are stemmed in and hatred.
Yep. Ahmad's got some exciting things, new things going on. Hear about those when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
The station